I think it's healthy every day to at least take a minute or two to laugh at Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, because that's the only way you're going to live through the horror show that is Liberal run Canada. And today, what I think we can all have a good chuckle over is the fact that in the new Abacus data poll that's come out, as different people stick the regional numbers into their models, it's coming out with Toronto only having one Liberal seat, that being Toronto Centre. And if you can see it right there, it's barely red, like a little touch of red, and the entire rest of the city is either going NDP in 3 seats or conservative, including Spadina Fort York going conservative. Spadina Fort York being a riding that typically has the NDP and the Liberals fighting over the seat, with the Conservatives in a distant third place, maybe getting 20% of the vote. This is absolutely pathetic. And it's very predictable that this eventually was going to happen, because the Liberals have just decided they don't need anybody but downtown progressives to win elections. They tricked themselves into thinking this because Napoleon, Justin Trudeau, thinks that he won the 21 election by going super progressive, when really Aaron O'Toole beat himself and Justin Trudeau floundered around and somehow came out with another minority government. The Liberals don't know how average Canadians think anymore. They absolutely think that by hitting Pierre Poilievre as not progressive, they're somehow going to have a bunch of Canadians come home to them. The polling trends we're seeing are not just momentary lapses in how Canadians normally vote. It's been going on for more than a year now that the Conservatives started off going ahead of the Liberals by 7 points, and it expanded all the way to today, where on average we see the Conservatives leading the Liberals by 20 points. Only a couple pollsters don't show them up by 20 points, and those are polls where the Conservatives are still up by 17% or 18%. So with all of the truant on people on social media saying that Angus Reid is rigging the polls, or Abacus Data, David Coletto are rigging their polls to hurt the Liberals, guys, every pollster is showing it. Frank Graves at Ecos. If there was an unhinged leftist among the pollsters, it would be Frank Graves. And in his polls, the Liberals can be down from anywhere from 16% all the way up to 21%. It's nobody's rigging the polls. Justin Trudeau might just not be a super popular guy. I'm just putting that out there. But you are going to see a lot of videos in the future that I'll probably cover from TikTokers such as I think it's Creek Pete or whatever, pretending that because Angus Reid once said something conservative, that means somehow Trudeau is super popular and the pollsters just aren't showing it, even though he keeps dropping easy by-elections to a conservative candidate or the Bloc Québécois, both in Montreal and Toronto. Anyways, now I just quickly want to go into what the Liberals have been posting recently, because the social media of a political party really ends up showing the party's soul. What does this party care about? What do they think their main message to Canadians are? Because everything that eventually turns into a television or YouTube ad for the party during an election started out as an idea on social media. So let's look at what the Liberals have been doing with their time. They've had more than a year to realize that their messaging isn't working. What are they doing now? So, doing
I will reject the radical plan for, and I quote, a single-payer drug plan. That's right in the law.
Have Canadians started running back to the Liberals now that they've pointed out that Pierre Poilievre is indeed a conservative and doesn't want a bloated pharmacare plan that's going to make sure that the supply of medication dries up in this country? Dries up? What is this? As somebody who wants to see the Liberals fail as hard as possible, not like this. I want them to lose honestly. That they put in their best effort and Canadians just wanted the conservative. That feels like more hopeful, that Canadians saw the Liberals put their best pitch forward and they lost because Canadians don't like that anymore. It's not even that. The Liberals are making themselves lose on top of the fact that their governance has been an absolute disaster. They have this other post here, which is hauntingly hilarious. This post down here below that one, going after Polyev for the contraceptive stuff, is the Liberals' Thanksgiving weekend little menu of things to talk about at the dinner table. Something that will get you disowned by your family if you mentioned any of this stuff. And if somebody at your dinner party starts using any of these talking points, be very nice to them. They're very naive fools, but at least know that you don't have to buy them a Christmas gift this year, even if it's like your mother. Stop it. They need to learn. They need to be punished for doing something this cringy. I'm obviously being very jokey here, but this is something they actually posted. If things get political at the dinner table this Thanksgiving weekend, we've got you covered. See what's on the menu for our annual turkey talk. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Let's start at the top, guys. Appetizer. Let's get started with a look at Pierre Poilievre's record. Main course. The NDP abandons progress cold turkey. Salad. Don't forget your greens. A side salad of climate action. Soup. Pumpkin soup. A hearty spoonful of support for seniors. Starch. Hot potato. Passing fairness to every generation. Why would you make hot potato the thing you say under the starch section? Hot potato usually means that you don't want to have to deal with important issues, so you're throwing it to somebody else. It's, oh my goodness. Dessert. Who's got room to watch our PM dish it out? MPs dish it out. No. Coffee. Women's rights and what keeps us up at night. Who could guess? Who could guess why these people are losing in the polls? I don't even know. Well, who could get it? Who could understand why people find the Liberals obnoxious and belabored in everything they do? This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. This is like what a bloated corporation puts out as an advertising campaign when they stepped in it and caused a giant, like fire in the city or whatever. And they have to come up. This is like watching BP Oil's oil spill at like a media campaign afterwards. It's just so like rusty. I can feel the rusty, I can hear the rusty joints moving of the Liberal Party's communications team saying like, have you seen what Mr. Poilievre is saying in Parliament, Father? It is quite radical. He does not support women's rights. This is terrible. Like, I'm actually stunned knowing that this is what I expect the Green Party to put out. And honestly, this is actually what I've been saying a lot in British Columbia. The NDP, the BC NDP, has gotten so bad at politics, they actually start sounding like the BC Greens. Everything becomes about progress and moving forward and not doing things the old way because they don't have anything but like really generic fringe party talking points, because the fringe parties don't really ever do good comms work. So they just end up putting very generic statements out. And this is what the Liberals are doing. I am tempted to click on this link. I want to see what's going on with the actual detailed version of this. Or do they have anything? Oh, okay. They're asking me for money, guys. Oh, I'm so tempted to give Justin Trudeau money. Not actually. Oh my, what the heck? There's like links for everything here. Are we going to look at the appetizer one? Okay, we're going to read it, guys. Gird yourselves, people. This is the appetizer section of the turkey thing. You had to hit this, and there's like this drop-down menu right here. It's very intuitive. Somebody was paid to make this. Sometimes it doesn't take long for the topic to turn to politics. And one of our favorite conversation starters is Pierre Poilievre's record. While you're ripping out recipe pages for this Thanksgiving, Pierre's continuing to rip pages out of the far-right American playbook to take Canada backwards. And then they have this thing from Chrystia Freeland calling the Conservatives Maple MAGA. This year, Canadians have voted on some of the worst moments from his 20 years as an MP. They include voting against marriage equality, trying to raise the retirement age for seniors, courting far-right extremist groups, threatening Canadian charter rights, championing anti-union legislation, and more. But don't take our word for it. His record speaks for itself. You will get so owned at Thanksgiving dinner if you start trying to claim that Pierre Poilievre is in league with far-right groups. If you have a kid at your dinner table who starts trying to claim that Poilievre is in league with Diagolon, the only response I can recommend giving is just laughing for like 2 minutes straight. Like, what? Pierre Poilievre is in league with the people who hate him and frequently attack him because they think that he's not like pure Canadian nationalist enough because he's not like a white supremacist or something. And these guys that like the Diagolon, Jeremy McKenzie and whatnot, they legitimately are nutcases. Obviously, nobody's in league with them. Raising the retirement age, that only happened because the economy was left in a bad condition after the 2008 economic meltdown. And instead of raising taxes on everyone to pay for benefits, they had to raise the retirement age for 2 years. Trudeau lowered it, but then he continued to destroy the economy. So the benefits that seniors get 2 years earlier can't pay for your retirement, so you still can't retire. Retirement age laws almost don't do anything because by lowering, we could lower them to 30. Aren't we such great people for lowering it to 30? Okay, well, who's going to pay for it now? Well, we can't. Okay, so it has to be raised. Okay, so now do you understand why Poilievre back in the day would have raised it from 65 to 67? Because the economy was not in great condition and we were not in the position for having a bunch of extra people retire the next year. So we had to bump it up a little bit. But the Liberals pretend like they simply by signing a law for something, they've made life better for you. Oh, we wrote the Inflation Go Away Act, which increases inflation, but it's called the Inflation Go Away Act. So don't we all feel richer already? That's not actually how this stuff works. Trudeau lower retirement age didn't do anything because people still have personal financial problems that they have to overcome. They have hurdles in their own lives of things they have to pay for and savings plans that they need to fund. And it doesn't matter if the law says you can retire at 65 and start getting your pension. If you know your pension's not going to be enough because of inflation in Canada, then you still can't retire. You can actually retire early, even if the retirement age is 67. If the economy is so good, you could save a bunch of money. And then you have 2 years where you didn't get your pension, and then you start getting it. That's actually how that works. I know we want to pretend economics doesn't exist, but good economics tends to make it that you don't need government assistance. You don't need your pension right away, or you're going to immediately need to be finding like housing with your family members. Anyways, this is turning into a rant from me, but I'm not going to bother linking this. I don't think it's worth reading the Liberals' Thanksgiving thing. It's funny that anyone would consider anyone wrote this. A communications team came up with this, or that anyone would even use these talking points at the dinner table. Everyone knows that it's wrong, and unless you're just a party robot, you're not going to try and repeat any of these because that's just so demonstrably true from reality. We all live in like actual physical reality, and everything the Liberals put out just says, who cares that physical reality exists? We've declared to you we've made the economy better. Our economy is growing fast. And you're like, what about per capita? Shut up. Shut up. Don't talk about per capita because that's unfortunate for our record. Anyways, that's it for me today, guys. If you guys want to help support this channel, you can go and donate in the description below at the legal fund, the Wyatt's Legal Fund, that I also have pinned at the top of the comments. I'm going to come back and do a more fulsome review of the federal polling in a couple of days here. I want to just sort of see what the general trend line is. I know some people are saying that Poilievre's popularity is moving down. I've looked at the numbers. I really don't see that. All I really see is Poilievre's disapproval rating has gone up a little bit because of how much the Liberals have been focusing fire on him. But for the most part, people are still voting Conservative as much as they were before. It happens a lot with Conservative leaders that they are unpopular because people from the Liberals and the NDP just say, I disapprove of the guy because it's the Conservative leader. And then some people in the between say, I think I disapprove of him because CTV News, CBC, all those outlets are just full of pundits saying how evil of a guy Poilievre is. And then the Conservatives they let on their panels are like, I think he's okay. And they make like a terribly weak argument in favor of the Conservative leader. Well, my rambling went on for another minute longer than you probably were even listening because I said now that's like the end of the video and then I kept going. But that's just what this whole channel is about. Me rambling and eventually hitting the end button, hoping that I at least made sense by the end. Anyways, see you guys later.